Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me here this afternoon. It's it's the first Monday of the season where we have NFL games we can react to. If you're a Panthers fan, you're happy today. We have plenty of college games to react to, including, ladies and gentlemen, South Carolina is 2-0 to start the season. You know, the over and under in Las Vegas for the Gamecocks was at like 4. They're halfway there. Yeah. But there's still questions about this football team. You watch the game on Saturday and you're like, huh? It just seemed like they almost underperformed against ECU, but they still managed to go on the road and get a win at an FBS opponent. And that's great. The first season in Shane Beamer's era here. The Gamecocks are sitting at 2-0. Nothing wrong with that. And that's what you have to take away from it. I know the whole thing of the win is a win is a win type thing, but there are things to think about here. Number one, have we seen the last of the great Zeb Nolan? Young man's 2-0 in his career as a Gamecock starter. Is this the last that we've seen of him? Because Coach Shane Beamer last night on his Sunday teleconference had some comments about Luke Doty and basically said, hey, Doty's 100%, and he's got to get out there. And I'll play you the comment here, and we can go from there. But basically, he said, hey, he's out there. He's doing what he needs to be doing. If he has the opportunity to go, he's probably going to go. Here's some comments from Coach Shane Beamer.
We'll see how practice goes. Like I told you guys before, I'm not going to put Luke out there before he's 100%. And everything we do in this program is about competition. Luke's got to be able to get into live team reps and live 7-on-7 reps and feel good and be able to execute, and also feel good the next day as well. So we'll see how practice goes. We're only on the field for about 45 minutes on Sunday nights, so that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice will be critical.
So with that, there's going to be a setup where he's probably going to play this weekend. If you're a South Carolina fan, do you want Luke Doty going out, his first start of the season on the road against that nasty Georgia defense? Quite possibly the best defense in the country. I really believe that. That Georgia defense is absurdly good. And the Gamecocks have to head there this weekend. And let's be honest, odds makers have South Carolina as a 32-point underdog in that matchup. It should be, I don't want to say it's not like, they play the games because they're supposed to. But the reality is that the other side of it comes down to this. It's going to be a tough out at Georgia this weekend. Do you want Luke Doty out there, or do you want Zeb Nolan to go out there and take the snaps and, do what he's been doing? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. You can make arguments for both sides. Jimmy says, yes, get Doty into the lineup as quickly as possible. Look, here's my thing with that. As I about knocked my water off of the thing in here. Hopefully our iHeart engineers aren't hearing me talk about, hey, I've got water in the studio. I could probably get in trouble for that. Let's head out to the phones really quick here, and we'll get into more of this Gamecock quarterback talk. And welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. If I'm South Carolina, I'd just, if Doty's healthy, I'd just run him out there.
Yeah, well, I think that there's a higher potential for the offense with Doty in the lineup, because I think that he has the capability to move around a little bit more than Zeb Nolan does. But in the end, I don't really think it matters who you roll out there.
No, it's not going to matter.
Be nasty.
I called this show because I have a question about Florida State.
Yeah.
What happened to them?
Well, I tell you what. Do you have a second? I've got this clip here that's kind of hit me on the face here. This is the final with Jacksonville State on the call the other night.
Snap to Cooper. Looking down the field. He's got a man. Caught it. He's free. Phil Johnson at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown! 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 There are no flags. Touchdown pass on the final snap of the game. Jacksonville State has won it.
I don't know what's happened to Florida State, but when Jacksonville State comes into your stadium and they beat you, and then you have a player where they're celebrating on the field, and a player decides, hey, now's the time to propose. There's something wrong with your football program.
Yeah.
The culture is garbage. That's the only term I can use, is garbage.
And it's coaching. He had a 1st and goal there, like halfway through the 4th quarter. Went for it, didn't get any points. If you kick the field goal, they win.
Yeah.
I mean, if he plays prevent defense, they might could win.
You can't look back on just that one decision, but the reality
it was a lot of them. They had a 3rd and 1.
How about keeping everybody in front of you on the last play of the game? That
would have been smart.
How about former Gamecock Jamie Robinson not running at, 10% speed and possibly running the young man down, besides just giving up on the final play? I mean, there's little things we can look at across the board. The whole thing with the Hail Mary, though, in how any of those get completed, I don't know.
He called it at like the 12-yard line.
Oh yeah, and then spun around and did all kind of stuff. And it's like, how does that happen?
I mean, does Florida State have the funds to get rid of Mike Norvell? I mean, they just ate $14 million.
I don't think that Florida State has an issue when it comes to money. There are some proud alumni down there that would happily, if they think that getting rid of Norvell is the problem, then that's kind of the way that they'll probably go. I think you need to give him enough time to quite possibly get some more players in there and get his own guys. But I mean,
Florida State should beat Jacksonville State every day of the week.
Yeah.
They should roll out of bed and win that game.
Baylor Man Online says, who would they get? And he's right. I mean, who
there you go. That it is.
But who would want to come down there to that disaster right now? And that's what it is.
Unless you gave him, unless you gave the coach like a 10-year contract, like Jimbo Fisher got with Texas A&M, knowing that they're not going anywhere.
It's crazy to think, what was it, 7 years ago they won a national title?
Yeah.
They were on top of the football world 7 years ago, and now they are hot dog water. That's pretty much what it
maybe they can get Josh Heupel.
Yeah, that's what you need.
If Josh Heupel had a quarterback, they would have beat Pittsburgh to death the other night.
He
had guys running wide open.
He needs more time at Tennessee. Let's just put that out there first of all. We goof on Tennessee on the program a little bit, but you got to give Josh Heupel more time. And that was one of the games that I looked at, and the reason that Pittsburgh won that game is because Kenny Pickett has been there since the dawn of time. And he just went out there with ice water in his veins and moved the ball up and down the field. The Tennessee defense is not very good, but that offense played better than I thought they would.
Yeah, we were at the Coastal Carolina game Friday. I don't know why somebody doesn't have that head coach, because his offense is really unique.
Here's the thing, and there's a lot of there's a lot of folks that are on Twitter, including my buddy Tim Frisbee, who does the Fifth Quarter postgame show with me. You mentioned Coastal Carolina, and they get upset. Oh, they don't play anybody. Sir, let me explain something to you. That is the second best team in the state. If they played South Carolina tomorrow, they win by 2 touchdowns. That's how good that they are. And his system is different and unique, and it'll work just about anywhere. So I don't know why somebody hasn't gone to hire him yet. It just doesn't make any sense.
I think it might be the way he looks with the mullet. Maybe if you lost that, maybe he looks a little more respectable.
Well, see, that to me is just silly. I mean, you're going to not, I mean, I want to win. I don't really care how you look. Come in here and win. Then we'll all grow mullets. That's kind of the way that it works,
Their team, about half of them did have mullets, but they played really well against a pretty decent Kansas State. I mean, Kansas team.
Yeah. Now,
They
well,
weren't.
Kansas
They
isn't
weren't.
that good,
Yeah.
but yeah,
No,
I mean,
they
I
weren't
get what
that
you're
good.
saying.
But all right, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. You have a great day. All right. Well, getting back to what we were talking about with South Carolina, should they start Luke Doty or should they go with Zeb Nolan? Now, I'm the kind of person that I look at it from this. There's two different perspectives. One is if you start Luke Doty and he goes out there and he takes his lumps, he's going to be better for it. He's going to be a lot better for it. Okay. You don't learn until you're pushed out and see what you can do. Now, he may go out there and throw 3 interceptions. I don't know. He may get hit 8 times. I don't know. There's that schooling of it. There's also the schooling of, you know what? I can run this Zeb Nolan guy out there, and he's already 2-0. The offense already has, I guess, some rhythm with him, even though they didn't look like they had much rhythm on Saturday. And we're going to go out there and do the absolute best we can and see if we can make a run at the Bulldogs in Athens. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's the mentality you could have. And you could have the idea of, maybe I don't want Luke Doty going out there and getting crushed in his first game. Maybe I don't want that to happen. Maybe there's a little bit of inkling with that. But would you start Doty or would you start Zeb Nolan? One area that South Carolina needs to do a little bit different, though, is when you have Dakereon Joyner out there, here's a thought. Let him do something other than run the ball. There's this novel thing. He can throw the ball a little bit. I'm just saying, why not give him the opportunity to throw the ball a little bit? That way he doesn't look like it's just always going to be a run out there because people are going to key up for it. Oh, he's out there. Let's put 8 guys in the box, and that's it. So there you go with that. Joey online says Doty 100%. Elijah online says under Pruitt, Tennessee loses the Pitt game by 3 touchdowns. I saw some improvement from the team's fight, but that man has 71 scholarship players, which is exactly what I said on Friday. The total loss of scholarship players is the way to go when you think about that. He doesn't have the same amount of scholarship guys as everybody else. So there you go with that. Jerome says they're saving it for Georgia, talking about Dakereon Joyner. I don't know. I'll tell you what, it was nice to see Josh Vann finally come out of his shell and look like, hey, he's going to be a guy that can be kind of maybe the guy that steps up on the wide receiver front. I don't know. We'll see on that front. But I tell you what, the other interesting thing was the South Carolina running back room, you know, with Zakondre White, who had 100 yards in the first game. You still got Kevin Harris, the SEC's leading returning rusher. Marshawn Lloyd is still great. And oh, by the way, Juju McDowell comes in the fourth quarter, and they move the ball up and down the field with Juju McDowell. That young man deserves some snaps. I mean, we talked about him a little bit, but we didn't think he'd get into a game and do stuff like that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. You got to look at the Gamecock defense too. I think they kind of did what Clayton White wants to do, which is basically we're going to go up and down the field. You can go inside the 20s. We're going to hold you to field goals. I think that's kind of the logic that's there. Second straight game that a Gamecock team has 2 pick six. So there are some bright spots for South Carolina. Now, here's the other interesting part, though. You're going to go to Georgia, and let's just be honest, you're probably going to take a pop down there. Okay? Your next measuring stick comes in the following week with Kentucky. Kentucky is 2-0, and by the way, they should be ranked. Why Kentucky is not ranked, but Auburn is out of my perception. I don't get it. But Kentucky they got a win over Mizzou, a tough win over Mizzou at home. Let's not put the Tigers out there. They're a pretty tough team with Eli Drinkowitz. I think he's going to do some good stuff up there. But the reality is that the Gamecocks have a 7:00 matchup a week from this Saturday against Kentucky at home, and that's going to be big. That's going to be big. Jerome says that's okay. At least show something at Georgia. I think Beamer lays it all on the table. Look, I know this sounds silly, but if South Carolina goes down to Athens and loses by 17 to 20 points, that's not, I mean, every loss sucks. We don't live in the land of moral victories, but no one's giving South Carolina a snowball's chance in hell of even being close. Lines up to like 32, 34 points. That's a lot of points in a conference game. It's not taking anything away from Georgia. They're outstanding on the defensive side of the ball. And with their running game, I'm not too sold on their passing game yet, even though Stetson Bennett III, who was openly booed by the Georgia faithful, went out and threw a ton. Threw for what, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, even though he was openly booed by his fan base. Georgia fans should be ashamed of themselves that a young man's going out there and playing a collision sport for them, and you're going to boo them. You should be ashamed of yourself, Georgia fans. Every damn one of you. It's sad. It really is sad. Anyway, I'm not too sure on the completely sure on the Georgia offense yet. We'll have to see if they roll Stetson Bennett III back out there. But that comes back to Kirby Smart too, by the way. You got these 5-star guys that are sitting over here on the bench, and they're like, hey, you told Carson Beck you're the number 2 guy, and then you're going to run the guy out there that is literally going to get booed senseless. Crazy the way that works. But anyway, getting back to Kentucky, I don't understand why they're not ranked. Auburn played 2 teams that nobody really knows who they are. Alabama State, I think, is who they played this weekend. Kentucky played Louisiana Monroe and Missouri and won both games. And I know these polls are at the beginning of the season, but it just looks silly. It just looks silly. Kentucky plays, I think, UT Chattanooga this weekend. So they should come in to Columbia with a 3-0 record. So that matchup for South Carolina, it's going to be a big one here in the, a week from today, a week from this coming Saturday. All right, we'll take your calls and who should start. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. Get out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
I got one word to say. Amari Huggins Bruce.
Amari Huggins Bruce. All right, help me with that.
Wide receiver, Louisville from Dillon, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They played Eastern Kentucky. He has a 95-yard touchdown reception, drops the ball to the 2-yard line.
That's pretty crazy.
I'm so sick of this Louisville team this year. It's Scott Satterfield, and maybe Scott Satterfield can go to Florida State.
I don't think they want him. I'm sorry. I don't mean to rub your nose in it, but I don't know. I don't know who can coach at Florida State right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I understand. But yeah, that's all I wanted to call about.
All right, man. Appreciate it. There you go. Louisville's not having the season that they want. All right. Well, we can take calls on that as well. 803-978-1832. We got some news out of LSU. Not good news for them on the running back front. We'll get into that when we come back. Also, we'll look at the top 25. We'll look at my picks from last week, see how I did. And we got some other things we'll get into. Oh, the updated bowl projections. Yeah, there you go. We'll get into that and a lot more in just a moment. You're listening to The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Macaroni Monster, he's going to be livid on Saturday night. My friends in the press box say otherwise, sir. Now, I think Jackpot's smart enough to know that they are definitely undermanned. They are definitely undermanned. I still don't get the hold on. Where are my notes at today? Nick, how are you, man? You guys are welcome to join the show whenever you want to, by the way. If you guys want to get involved with the program here. There are Clemson fans that go to the Dog Nation podcast. Good luck with all that, man. I didn't look. I'm telling you what my friends in the press box said. So there you go with that, Alan. I'm talking about people that were in the press box. So stop with that nonsense, man. I go by with what my people said in the press box because they're not some Georgia apologists. They're actual national folks that are covering the game. So there's that. Well, welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. You can also check us out on Twitter. I'm at Rob Sounds Good. Let's see here. Oh, look at my picks from last week. I went with Army to get the win. I won that one. Oregon, I picked them to cover the spread. They just went out and won the game. That puts me at 2-0. Pittsburgh, I had them winning over Tennessee. That puts me at 3-0. It was a push for the South Carolina game. I did pick the Gamecocks, but it was a push, so 3-1. Air Force over Navy, I took that one, so that's 4-1. I missed on Miami. I thought they would cover the 6. They did not. That puts me at 4-2. I missed on NC State. Going down to Mississippi State, that puts me at 4-3. Kentucky, I picked them. That puts me at 5-3 on the week. And BYU was my other pick. And I think that I won that one as well. That puts me at 6-3 on the week. There you go with that. Dumb Georgia fans online were saying that they were talking about Zeus when he came out after Stetson Bennett. I'm telling you that there were people that were in the press box that I know that said they booed the young man. Now, you can believe whatever lies that they tell you. I'm telling you what my nationally accredited friends told me. So there you go. I don't have to play the audio. Respected individuals that I know said they were booing him. Don't have to give you this whole thing of, oh my goodness, that's not what was happening. I'm telling you what I was told. I'm not going to sit here and get into some contest where we're talking about who was booed and who wasn't. The young man was booed. Simple as that. Sergeant Online says Sunshine threw 3 picks yesterday. Okay, well, let's look at it from this perspective. He's a rookie on the worst team in the NFL. He goes out and throws 3 touchdowns, goes for over 300 yards, and he does throw 3 interceptions. Let's think about this. There was also an idiot that was online, and that's the only term that I can use here that makes any sense, that was basically saying, well, if he would have played in the ACC, he would be more prepared for the NFL, which is the dumbest thing ever because when you look back on it, Peyton Manning threw 3 interceptions in his first game in the NFL. And also Matt Stafford threw for 3 interceptions in his first game in the NFL. But it doesn't matter where they played, right? They were just dominating. They went to SEC schools, so those 3 interceptions don't matter. Here's the thought, too. I'm not completely sold on Urban Meyer. All right. So he's probably got a coach that's probably not going to be there for long. He's going to end up with someone else. It's amazing, though, how much that Trevor Lawrence hurts people's feelings. He didn't go to Georgia because your program doesn't have the kind of offense that he wants to play in because you're still in the Stone Ages. So there you go with that. Sweeney with a comment online, at least Watson didn't throw an INT yesterday. Good point, sir. By the way they're handling him is silly. He's on the active roster, but they won't let him anywhere near the team because they want Tyrod Taylor to be near the team. Huh. Interesting with all of that. You never know when it comes to those quarterback type things. We'll keep you up to date. For the folks that are throwing shade on what Trevor Lawrence did yesterday, or for the same folks that are saying Aaron Rodgers is done, I look forward to you moonwalking by week 8. I look forward to it. Just saying. We'll see how that works out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. By the way, the thing with Urban Meyer, this is interesting. The Urban Meyer era, apparently, according to a source from 247 Sports, he has everyone looking over their shoulders already. He's become unhinged way too early, easily, and he doesn't know how to handle losing even in the preseason. He loses it and wants to take over the drills himself. It's not good. You can't freak out about preseason games and belittle your coaches on a staff handpicked every time things don't go your way. It's not going to work here. You know, I hate to break it to you, but my good friend Mike has actually said this. Urban Meyer's always getting ready to look like he's going to have his next heart issue or want to be with his family more. So there's that. But to throw, people were upset that Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions. He's on the worst roster in the league. Let it go. Off to the phones we go. 803-978-1832. Good afternoon. Welcome to the rundown.
Do you mind if I change the subject?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, you need to answer my question before I answer yours, sir.
All right. Well, what would you like to speak about, sir? You can talk about whatever you want. Have at it.
I would like to tell you, and I'm going to have to eat crow because I was bragging about Clemson going to the playoffs.
Okay.
By the performance I saw against South Carolina State, if DJ,
Uwe
the
Ungalale.
quarterback, I call him DJ. I don't care what you call him.
I just use his proper name, sir. The name his mama gave him. So you don't think Ungale's that great, do you?
I didn't say that. I said he needs – I've seen him play better last year than he's playing this year. I don't know what's wrong with the man, but he's not throwing. He's throwing 50% of his passes that they can catch. They're either too high, too low. But if they don't get a if the quarterback position doesn't get corrected, they're not going to the playoffs.
Well, it's a long season, and I'm not here to defend him because he hasn't looked very well at all. But I think saying Clemson's not going to go to the playoffs is, until they drop another game, the window is open for them to go. So, and putting all of this on Uwe Ungalale. And by the way, let's make sure that we put a couple of things out there. No one has scored an offensive touchdown against Clemson, and they won 49-3 last weekend. Sure, go ahead.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Sure.
You just made a statement.
Sure.
Okay. You stated that if DJ, never mind, Rob, I tell you what, brother.
Okay.
If you made a statement, you said if they lose another game, they'll go to the playoffs.
No, sir.
If they lose another game.
I think you misheard me, sir. I said until they lose another game, the playoff window is open. That's what I was implying.
Oh, well, my point is I think they will lose another game.
All right. Well, we'll have to see how that works out, man.
Well, okay. I appreciate it. Later.
All right, man. Have a great day. Clemson fans losing their mind about DJ Uiagalelei. You know, how about just wait? I mean, it's like the guy's a highly touted quarterback. Let's step back for a second. And if you're a Clemson fan, look at it from this perspective. No one goes to practice. You don't know what happens in practice. Now, is he overthrowing some guys? Yeah, he certainly is. He certainly is. But the idea that he's just done, I don't know if I'm buying all that. The wait and see club come week 8, they're all going to be doing the Michael Jackson moonwalk. That's basically what's coming down. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call. If you want to join us here on the rundown, this is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I go by with the national folks that I have there that were covering the game. That's what they said. Just saying. I can cut and paste the article and put it here from one set of folks. I can show you the tweets from folks that were like, my God, we're starting Stetson Bennett. It's not like the fan base was completely on board with him. Milton looked okay. I mean, it wasn't like he seems to be able. They were taking some deep shots. What little bit I watched of that game, he was overthrowing some guys, but I don't know. He does have the capability to throw the ball deep. We'll give him that. I don't really care. I don't really care what the fans say. I care about the accredited members of the media. The fans aren't going to sit here and say, oh, we weren't booing him. I can show you plenty of tweets. People were pissed. So don't care what the fans think. Sorry. People that don't give a crap about what Georgia is were there and said point blank they were booing the kid. So I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. Here, let's make this easy for your fans that are liars. The Georgia fans that are liars. Yeah, Chip Towers is going to lie. That's been covering the Georgia Bulldogs forever. You Georgia fans are just silly. Look, it's right there. Let me read it to you because you may not be able to read. Stetson Bennett announces a starter to a smattering of boos in pregame on the video board. You booed him. Stop with the lies. Why would he lie? Explain that. His reputation is at stake here as he's somebody who covers them full time. So stop with the nonsense. He got booed in front of his home crowd. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. If you want to take calls, we'll take calls on the fact that who should start for South Carolina. Georgia fans are still upset. I showed them the actual tweet from the Atlanta Journal-Constitutional that says that he was booed in the pregame by the Georgia fans there. That's still not good enough for them. I had two people that work in the press box that are friends of mine that said he was booed. No, he wasn't booed. They were talking about Zeus, the running back. No. You booed a player that was there. Stop it. Sweeney Online says they'll be really booing on Saturday night. We own the hedges. Appreciate you watching the show. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We could talk a little bit about the Tennessee game too and how they looked against Pitt. Is it going to be a set where Josh Heupel is going to get them fixed at Tennessee? Texas, by the way, we keep hearing they're back. Not so much. Arkansas took it to them this weekend. And with an Arkansas team that has a depleted roster, in my opinion, as far as depth and talent goes, they look pretty good against the folks from Texas. Steve Sarkisian not really feeling it. Cowboy John says Doty should start this week. Yeah, I mean, folks have said on several different occasions that the offense may have a higher ceiling with Doty, but Nolan may keep you from looking silly. What I mean by that is that you could, in theory, he may go out there and keep the interception bug down and everything else. Not saying that Doty would throw that, but I mean, do you want your first game to be against Georgia? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Some bowl projections, they've been updated here. I'll give you some of these are updated, by the way, from 2 weeks ago. Some of the matchups that they have here: the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Coastal Carolina versus Central Michigan. I don't know if I'm buying all that. We'll see. They may do that, though, just because they'll sell out regardless. Some of the other interesting games here: Birmingham Bowl, Memphis and Wake Forest. Let's see here. Rutgers and NC State in the Pinstripe Bowl. The way the Yankees are playing, they're not going to have any baseball games there after the end of September. They're going to have to keep that field up. Let's see here. The Liberty Bowl has Oklahoma State and Mizzou. First Responder Bowl, Virginia and Army. I watched some of the Army game the other day. Jeff Monken is a good coach. He's got those guys squared away. Caden with a comment online: Luke Doty will look like Tennessee's Brian Maurer. He will never play the same after Saturday. Ooh, big talk there. 803-978-1832. Some of the other projected matchups: Houston and Mississippi State in the Gasparilla Bowl. The Outback Bowl, Wisconsin and Florida. That would be interesting. Michigan and Arkansas in the Citrus Bowl. Man, Sam Pittman would love that. I like looking at these bowl projections now, and we keep track of them on the bookcase of accountability, which is to my right. I'll write on them which week they are. But we keep up with these throughout the season. Penn State and Cincinnati in the Fiesta Bowl. In the Rose Bowl, they've got UCLA and Ohio State. In the Peach Bowl, Clemson and Iowa. Iowa looked good this weekend, by the way. CFP semifinal, Alabama and Oklahoma. The other CFP semifinal, Oregon and Georgia. And in the national championship game, they've got Alabama and Georgia, according to the latest projections for the college football bowls here. Leroy says Clemson plays in the Toilet Bowl. Jerome says, I agree. If Doty's out there, he's going to get CTE. Let's see here. No disrespect to Nolan, but to be honest, no quarterback's going to do good unless my Gamecocks improve their O-line. The offensive line for South Carolina kind of wore down East Carolina. If you watch that last drive, they kind of just moved up and down the field. Now, I understand that they're not going to be able to do that against Georgia, but they didn't really look that bad, to be completely honest. They didn't look that far out there. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We've talked about Ed Orgeron. I think that he is, we kind of agree that Coach Satterfield's on the hot seat at Louisville. We can also kind of agree that Dino Babers may be heading out at Syracuse, but Ed Orgeron's seat may be getting a little warm down there at LSU. It was announced today that junior running back John Emery Jr. is expected to miss the rest of the season according to several sources, including Go247, Emory's status is tied to academics, meaning that, wait a minute, you couldn't keep this young man on the field academically? I'm stunned by that. Not that, you think that a lot of these kids are actually student athletes, but the fact that you can't keep someone on the field because of academics is insane to me. I mean, I've heard stories where assistant coaches and graduate assistants would be assigned to people to make sure that they go to class. They've got tutoring and everything else. And you're telling me he can't get on the field because of academics. If that's not a shot at Coach Orgeron, I don't know what is. I mean, I really, really don't know what, I don't even know where to go with that. Former 5-star player, a guy that the quote from Orgeron says, John Emery is out for the year, and my saying is he's unavailable. Right now, he's unavailable. Things could change. If they do change, we'll play them. Could they change? Yeah, but that's out of my control. Really? You're telling me that certain people can't get your guys to go to class? Wow. That seat's getting a little bit hotter and hotter down at LSU. Those fans were really upset that they went to UCLA and they lost that game out there. The LSU Twitter folks weren't very happy with the matchup with McNeese the other night. You could see that they were upset about protection and everything else. We'll see how that works out for Ed Orgeron, but I think that's one of the SEC seats that's going to go on its way. He's going to be one of the coaches that's going to be sent on his way, especially with headlines like that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I don't understand how in today's society, how a kid can't get in because of grades. I'm just being honest. How does that work? You can't really? I mean, some of these guys can't string together 8 words, but somehow or another, they're deemed academically eligible. Just saying. You think Bama will take a loss at some point this season? Who beats Alabama? Because it's not looking like LSU. They're all lost souls. Very good point, Jerome. You think Kiffin can beat them? Okay. Questionable transcripts. I don't know. If you don't like the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, then you could just read the Georgia Redneck paper, whatever it is that will have the best Georgia knowledge for you there, Alan. I do remember that. I was at that game with our buddy Mike Dobreski. Final segment of the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. You can feel free to call us at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call. Which matchups are you looking forward to this weekend? By the way, I forgot to give you this information. If you're driving around, this might be something that you'd want to know. South Carolina's matchup with Kentucky is a 7 o'clock kickoff. So look up for that. Also, Clemson gets 2 3:30 games in a row. 3:30 this week with Georgia Tech, 3:30 next week with the Wolfpack for NC State. They lost one of their starting safeties in that matchup with Mississippi State. And I tell you what, you got to give it up to the Pirate. He put together a good game plan and beat that NC State team. I thought they were going to go in there and get the win. Just saying. Good showing there from the Pirate, as they're 2-0, even though they look kind of rickety in that Louisiana Tech game. A good win for them. They sit at 2-0. And, we have to talk about the other thing, too. Vanderbilt won. Vanderbilt was like a 6-point favorite or 6-point underdog on the road, and they won. Wow. We'll see how that works out for them the rest of the season as they win over Colorado State. Steve says NC State got crushed by Mississippi State. You're right. They did. Shout out to the Pirate getting the job done, man. All right, 803-978-1832. Which matchup are you looking forward to this weekend? Of course, it's easy to say. Alabama going on the road to Florida. Coach Spurrier, by the way, thinks that the Gators are going to pull off the upset. Just saying. I don't know how that's going to work out. But still, Dan Mullen going up against Nick Saban. Can Dan Mullen put together some magic? Make the Swamp an intimidating place to play? We'll see how that works out. Also, you've got Auburn getting their first test of the season, going on the road to Penn State. Bo Nix has proven me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. He has looked really, really good. Really, really good, to be honest with you. Now, granted, they played some subpar competition, but they've scored 60 points a game. So they haven't really, they've done what they're supposed to do. What's your favorite matchup heading into the weekend? Do you think South Carolina will cover the 32 points? We'll talk about that as the week goes on. That's a tough game to pick with 32 points. That's a lot of points, but you don't know who the Gamecocks are going to start at quarterback. You have no clue. So there's that too. Some of the other matchups coming up this weekend that might tip your head here a little bit as I pull up my schedule here. Where is my schedule? There it is. In addition to you got Nebraska and Oklahoma, an old school matchup there. Remember when that was like the biggest game ever? Yeah, not so much. Cincinnati playing at Indiana. Cincinnati's a 3.5-point favorite in that matchup. Virginia Tech and West Virginia. Can the Hokies keep it going there? Coastal Carolina plays at Buffalo. Michigan State and Miami. Might be an interesting ACC Big Ten matchup there. Purdue playing at Notre Dame. Notre Dame looked silly this weekend. I mean, they had to pull it out against Toledo. I mentioned the Alabama-Florida game. Your other top 25 matchups that are out there, Auburn and Penn State, Virginia and North Carolina. And let's see here. There isn't really a West Coast game that makes a lot of sense. Let's look at the rest of the ACC really quick here as we roll through our Overreaction Monday. I don't see another ACC game that's really going to set the world on fire. Boston College and Temple. Ugh. Northwestern and Duke, Virginia and North Carolina. I'm not feeling any of those. Around the SEC this weekend, when you look at the matchups that are there, you've got, it looks like everybody's playing out of conference. Not really any good SEC matchups. Memphis and Mississippi State. Odds makers have the Bulldogs as a 3-point favorite. Central Michigan playing LSU. Wow, this is almost like the weekend, like before rivalry weekend, where both conferences they'll have like maybe 2 conference games, but the rest of the conference, they're playing lower level schools. Not really the biggest matchups across the ACC and the SEC this weekend. You do have the 2 best matchups are Auburn and Penn State. And I don't know if anyone's beating Alabama, but Alabama playing at Florida. Alabama's a 15.5 point underdog or 15.5 point favorite. Make sure I get that out there. The Alabama fans will be pissed. Alabama's a 15.5 point favorite there. Let's make sure that I get that out there correctly. I mentioned the top 25 poll that came out. The only real problem I had with it, though it's so early in the season, I thought Kentucky should be ranked. Clemson fans upset about DJ Uiagalelei. That was big on the Twitter universe this weekend. I don't know what else they want him to do. He's trying to fill big shoes there. We'll see. I Dig Music Online says Auburn looks good, but haven't played anyone. Go Bucks says, well, this Penn State game might be a good one then. Sean says Kentucky didn't impress me this past weekend. I kind of like Mizzou. I thought that was a good win for them, but I did watch a good portion of that game on replay, and I don't know if their quarterback is the answer or not. I really don't. Elijah Online says, I hope Alabama beats the hell out of UF so Tennessee has a chance. Okay. I Dig Music with another comment. I picked UGA to win it all preseason, but they'll probably choke like all teams in that state. Ouch. Alan says Tennessee is better than South Carolina. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. That's the joy of the college football season. We're going to find out. Fireball Online says, yeah, but we can compete. I like their attitudes, and they're going to beat somebody if they keep improving. We're at that point of the season where everything is still kind of open. We won't really know much until everybody plays 2 or 3 conference games, to be honest. But anybody be shocked if Auburn went up to Penn State and lost big? Or went up there and won big? Auburn's like the big question mark in the West. They really are. Anyway, we will have on this week, getting someone that covers the Georgia Tech and someone that covers Georgia. So we have an outside look at what Georgia brings into their matchup with South Carolina. Also, what Georgia Tech brings into their matchup with Clemson. We'll have that for you this week before we get to Friday. Also working on a couple of guests. So we'll have those for you. We're also going to have one of our education superintendents coming in that's going to talk to us about how COVID is affecting high school football. That's some interesting stuff. So we'll do that. The fact that he's this gentleman's actually won a couple of state titles too. He knows his football. So we'll get into that too this week here on the Rundown. Now, don't forget, my buddy Lawton Swan is next. He is the czar of Clemson sports. You guys are welcome to follow him on Twitter. He's at Clemson Sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Or just listen to his show right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. There are lots of Gamecock fans that love that show. They're in the closet about it, but they love it. All right. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to get to talk sports with you every day. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Podcast will be up at about 5 o'clock today. So if you missed something, you can check it out there. We'll be back at it tomorrow right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, you guys are awesome in the chat. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for showing up every day. Shout out to Caden. I know you're here every day. I appreciate it. Macaroni Monster, it's great to see you. Good to see you too there, Blind Squirrel. We don't have to agree with each other. We could still talk back and forth, though. I don't know if Jackpot's going to Athens. If he does, I'm sure that he will. Thank you, Fireball. I appreciate you showing up too. All you guys showing up every day, man. It makes my life a little bit easier in here. So thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you later on. All right.